Hey yo, we back again at it. It's Ray Ray's podcast live from the 9th floor of Hello Studios in the beautiful downtown Dallas. Such a beautiful day to be alive. Just thankful to be alive today. You know, it's your boy Ray.
And Allison.
You know, another edition of Ray Ray's podcast. Have a great show planned out for you. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you're still going to go like and subscribe us on YouTube, on RayRaysPodcast.com, following all of our social media sites from Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. If you still get on Twitter, you can come find us, all right? So, Ray Ray's podcast. This is the part of the show here real quick where we like to reset people's day. A lot of people having rough days, rough weeks, or rough month. It's your first time listening to us this month. Let's reset that, let's start that over. We've had some bad things happen, some tribulations and trials. Let's say some positive words to put in your mind to get you ready to fight those battles, all right? Allison, you ready?
Ready.
Ready, all right. So anyone watching this or listening to this from my voice, in case no one has told you today, you're beautiful, you're loved, you're needed, you're alive for a reason. Hey, you're stronger than you think. You're going to get through this. See, we're glad you're alive, and don't give up. So when you start saying positive words to yourself, you're just going to be on autopilot when bad things come. So keep those positive words in mind, and let's have a positive show and start the show, all right? You ready?
I'm ready.
We're ready, all right.
Let's get it.
Real quick, I got to say those affirmations were brought to you by Extreme Travel. If you're interested in doing vacation or becoming a travel agent, extremetravel.com. Now, we have a lady, a woman of many facets. She's a supermodel. She's a writer. She's an MMA analyst. She's a behavioral educator. Please welcome Mitch Adaire Byerly to Ray Ray's podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
Hi.
How you doing? Hold on. Gotta make sure people,
There we go.
Oh,
say hi to
thank you
you.
guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, well, welcome. Welcome to Ray Ray's podcast. Thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. I'm fantastic.
Well, hey, we want to say congratulations on being featured in Forbes magazine.
Oh, thank you.
And with that, tell us more about the entertainment mind frame and how you've gotten your business to grow.
Yeah, so Entertainment Mindframe was really, I guess it stemmed from all of the experiences I had in the fashion and entertainment world, which a lot of people in the fashion and entertainment world experience at some point. And it really is it's the infamous side of the industry that people don't talk about. And I was like, man, there's a reason why people leave. There's a reason why there's so much unprofessionalism going on. What is it? It's weird because the industry, when you make it to a certain point, it's like a big underground glamorous world, right? And there's not really anybody to answer to. It's just like these people with power and a lot of power moves. So because of that, people mistreat each other a lot. And I was like, I don't understand how people can do business this way. So both of my parents were entrepreneurs. To this day, they're successful entrepreneurs. So I grew up watching people how to treat people and how to keep people in business and how to make your business grow. And so I just stepped back from the industry. I think it was 2015, 14, and I started studying brain and behavioral science. And I got all these different certifications, in various forms. And I was just fascinated with the brain. I've always been a science nerd. And I was like, hey, I think I'm kind of like finding a loop here. I'm seeing a lot of psychological projections in the businesses behind the scenes, behind the cameras. And then I decided to come up with Entertainment Mindframe. And it's really, at first I was just studying a creative's mind and a creative's process. And then it turned into me doing professional development for creatives. And I do that using brain and behavioral science. So a lot of times if a company brings me in, I'll work with their team and we'll do like trainings once a month, once every 6 months, whatever it is that they want to do. And we just solely focus on the brain because you can't get around it. Like, it's so funny because one of the biggest misconceptions is that your personal life and business is separate. And that's just not, your brain doesn't work that way. It doesn't compartmentalize things that easy, even though we trick ourselves and we say we do, but we're not. We really can't lie to our brain. Our brain is the one that operates everything. So it's just funny when people are like, "Oh, leave it at the door." I'm like, yeah, it does. The brain does not work that way. It really doesn't. So, of course, people are going to come in. And what do they talk about when they go to work? People always talk about their life. Always. They always talk about what's going on. So that whole let's just neglect human needs, and just put them to work is the worst idea in the world. It's terrible. So, I just teach people about that. I teach people about human behavior, just simple stuff that we all need. And it's amazing how much better teams do and how much faster projects go and how much more money you make over time.
Man,
Yeah.
never thought it from that angle.
Yeah.
So, what do you think the key component was to get that brought you to Forbes? And then how did you find out that you were getting into Forbes? Did someone email you, contact you about getting in there?
Yes. So my PR rep at the time, or my PR agent at the time, she's out in Hollywood. And I guess she knew one of the writers at Forbes, and they were doing articles on African American women, like business owned by African American women. And the reason why mine stuck out was because I was a model that had all these certifications or licenses as a practitioner in brain and behavioral science. And then it's bringing science into a creative world. So it's like that whole left brain, right brain thing. It's like she's bringing that together, that myth at least, because that is a myth, which I'll go over in a minute if you guys want to know. She's bringing science into such a creative world. How is that going to work? So it was just really unique. It was a unique approach to professional development, and that's what made me make that list. They liked it.
That's really dope. Like, I love hearing that. And we also want to hear about your modeling side of things. You've been featured in Vogue and other magazines. Tell us a little bit about your modeling career.
Oh my gosh. I feel like it's so long. And I think it's still going. Like, I never really truly stopped. Even though I say I'm done, I'm never done. Like, there's always somebody that calls me and they're like, hey, will you come do this for me? And I'm like, yes, I will. I'll do it for you. But I actually enjoy being in front of the camera. Like, and it's not just about me. I like creating the experiences on set. So I love bringing something to life that the client wants me to bring to life. I love having fun on set. Love it, love it, love it. That's my most memorable, moments for me. I don't care about the pictures afterwards. Even though when they come out, they're cool to look at, but there's a lot of work I've done I've never even seen. And I didn't really care to see. I just remembered being on set, working with these people, getting to meet these famous people. And I was like, man, it was dope. I got to talk to these people, and I got to know them on a personal level. And that being in the moment for me was so much more important, and that stuck with me over time. But I started when I was professionally, I broke into the industry when I was 19, on my 19th birthday, actually. And from there, I was in Texas. I had no idea. I thought I was going to have to leave, which is what everybody thinks until they start learning how awesome Texas is. But I was one of those people. I'd never been anywhere. So I was like, oh, I hate Texas. I'm going to leave. I got to get out of here in order to make it. And it wasn't true. I got signed here, and my agent knew everybody everywhere. And I was doing work. I was able to get my SAG eligibility here just from doing jobs here. I've been in magazines all over the world. So I think I was lucky, or blessed to be able to come across an agent that was not full of shit and got me in the right places with the right people. But it's not. It wasn't enough for me. Like, it didn't fulfill my wants and needs overall because I'm more than a face. And I had so much to offer and so much to share. But it was a cool platform for me because I've been able to, like I said, meet a lot of people, and so many doors have opened. And it's really what's kind of helped me branch over into the sports entertainment field that I'm in now. So I always tell people, like, even if you're not going to be a model and you just want to try it, because I tell my students that at the school that I work at, I'm like, you never know. You just don't know what you're going to fall into, where you're going to be, who you're going to meet, and you might find another talent that you had, right? And it'll just lead you to a whole other direction. So I'm happy for the doors that it's opened for me.
That's really awesome. And I mean, I agree too. Like I'd like to think I'm on the other side of the lens now as a photographer, but when I was modeling, I had the opportunity to meet so many people, and it's been such a blessing. And also introducing people to each other who are now like doing better than they were before because they did meet.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I do like how the fashion industry can bring so many people together in a positive way. And I kind of wanted to ask you, what's one of your favorite shoots that you've done?
Ooh, oh my gosh, that's such a hard question. That is such a hard question. I would say, okay, this is interesting. So it wasn't, in the moment, it wasn't my favorite because we were outside in the heat, and I'm the worst. I am the worst. Allison, don't ever shoot me in the heat because I turn into a diva, and I'm a pretty tough chick, but when I'm out in the heat with makeup on and clothes on, I turn into a straight bitch. Like and I mean like a weak bitch, not like a bitchy one. Just like, I'm just like a baby and I want to quit. And so I did this shoot with Jay Bolin and Chastity Simone, who's out here. I think she's out here still.
She's gorgeous.
And Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child. So that was a cool experience. I came in, got my makeup done, and while I was getting my hair done, Michelle was getting her makeup done across from me. And I got to talk to her, like on a personal level, and I was telling her about my business. I just started my business, it. And she was like, wow, that's crazy. And then she just started talking to me about her mental health, which she's very open about. She's a big advocate for that. And she talks about all these things publicly that she's experienced. But it was amazing to, like, sometimes when you're sitting in front of people that you grew up listening to as a kid, right, and singing and, like, dancing in the closet and shit, you know, doing the routines. And I'm sitting in front of this woman, and she's talking to me about her feelings, like her as a human, you know, and that I just remember that moment because I was like, wow, I'm really sitting here and she's trusting me. Like I'm listening to her and she's trusting me, and this is therapeutic for her in some way to speak to me, you know. So that was cool. But that day we had to shoot outside, and it was so funny because her and Chastity had the most energy, and they were dancing and laughing and singing, and I was just like dead. I had to keep going in the car to get AC blown in my face. I think I actually had heat exhaustion after that. But it was fun. It was a fun shoot overall. Like, when I think back on it, it was fun. But I wouldn't want to be in the heat like that again.
Yeah, the Vegas heat has never served models well. When I was shooting out there, I just knew that, like, the summer months, I can't be having these models out in this heat.
I went to Vegas once, and was it during the summer? I cannot. No. Yeah, you know what? I think it was during the summer. And my friend had shot me, but we were in the shade, and it was still hot. And I haven't really been in the desert like that, right? I'm used to Texas heat, and Texas heat is different, but when you're in the desert, like, it tricks you. Like, you think you're not dehydrated, and then you are. Like, you're ready to die. Like, it hits you so fast. And I'm used to, like, the Texas heat, like, you know you're hot, you know you need water, and the desert heat just tricks me. I was like, wow, this is why people, like, will be out walking in the desert, and then they're like, they realize they need water. Yeah, they realize they need water or something later. So that messed me up. The Vegas heat messed me up. It tricked me.
Well, I'm sorry that happened. But, you know, I'm curious to hear more about being a behavioral, you know, teacher and helping people grow in that way. What got you started? Like, what got you into behavioral therapy?
It was just me being curious. So for the record, I'm not a therapist. I have to tell people this. I don't want to be. I don't want to be a therapist.
Oops.
Now, no, it's okay. But what the reason why people are why I've been mistaken for one is because the type of education that I give and the talks that I give are therapeutic for people. So it helps people, you know, in a similar way. I'm just not giving them advice about, you know, what to do on a psychological level. There are some techniques that I can use with people that are very similar to what some therapists use. But I don't have like one-on-one sessions with people. I don't take your insurance. Like, I'm not doing all that. I don't want to hear about all that stuff because it's what's funny. And I trust therapy. I know therapy works. But what's interesting is over time, they've learned, science has showed us that talk therapy is not as helpful as it used to be. And the reason why is because science has shown us that the brain can change faster than we believed it could. So when it comes to like trauma therapy, a lot of people are like, I don't want to go to therapy because I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about my childhood. I don't want to talk about what mama did or what daddy did. But you don't have to. There's so many different forms of therapy. I do tell people, just wipe that little slate clean, whatever you think that is, whatever you think therapy is. Do your research on the different types of therapy, and you'd be amazed that you can go do some techniques they teach you, like they tap you places or you snap or whatever, and you feel better in 2 sessions, and you're like, wow, something that's been bothering me for 20 years, I literally felt better in an hour. And why is that? Because they have the ability to cross-wire your brain. Because when your brain can't figure things out, like you just have these emotional overloads and it shuts down. Like your cognitive brain shuts down. You're not thinking anymore. So I focus a lot on cognition, on people's, analytical thinking. And then I always tell them that a lot of that is affected by your emotional brain. It's like it all works together. There is no, oh, I'm shutting this off. I'm shutting this off. You know, how people are like, oh, I can be the coldest motherfucker in the world. Like, you know, but that's a trauma response. That's not really how the brain works. You're still feeling stuff, and you're just telling yourself that you're not feeling anything, but you are. Your body's feeling it the whole time. So it's just interesting when it comes to human behavior. We're all different, right? But our brain is it's structured the same. We just have different experiences, which cause us to have different outlooks and perspectives and the way we act and what we believe. But all in all, you know, our brain it pretty much wires the same, you know, across the board. And it's just fascinating to me. It helps people a lot. Once they know something, you'd be surprised how much people can do the work themselves, you know?
Oh, 100%. And I love how you've brought together, you know, beauty, creativity, and mental health. Mm-hmm. What topics do you go over with like creatives or advice you give in particular for creatives?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say probably one of the biggest ones that creatives, y'all are going to love this one. One of the biggest ones that creatives struggle with is procrastination. That's probably the number one thing I hear the most is procrastination, and then burnout. Like when they don't feel like doing anything, or they just have to take like these enormous breaks from whatever they're doing, or they switch it up and they go from doing this to doing this to doing this, because creatives are multi-talented. Like you guys can do almost everything. And the problem with that is you spread yourself thin thinking, I don't need help. I don't need someone to do this. I don't need a person for this. I don't need, because I can do it. And you end up crashing. Literally, you end up crashing. The procrastination thing, there's so many different ways that can contribute to procrastination. But one of the most common ones that I've seen is just people being afraid of failure. And because they can get it done last minute, why not? I'll do it last minute. If I plan and I do it in advance and I put all these proper steps in place and I pour my heart into it and I pour my soul into it, my time, if it fails, it's going to be so bad for me. It's going to hurt so much worse. But if I do it last minute and that shit goes through, I'm a badass, right? And that feels good. It's like It's like, I don't care, I can do it. That's one of the reasons that a lot of people procrastinate. And because you'd be surprised, even though creatives are fully capable, they don't always believe in themselves either. So it's like, we always tell ourselves, oh, I can do it later. I can do it tomorrow. I can do it the next day. Because you don't really want to take the time and the emotional investment to do it that day, right? So, but it's bad because it makes you unreliable over time. You will also develop more selfish behavior when you're working with other people because you're used to working on your time instead of a collective team time. So it's very hard for creatives to work together as a team and stay a team. Like, it's very rare when you see that happen for a long period of time. So it's just interesting because creatives have this individualization, entrepreneurship. Everybody wants to own something. Everybody wants their name on something. Everybody wants to say, I did this. I built this, right? But you really can't do anything without anybody else. Like, you can't. You can, even me, like, as much as I've accomplished, I've not done it by myself. I haven't. I've asked people for advice. I've had people mentor me. I've called people that I think have good insight to things. Like, I've never just, this has not been an Adaire show. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people behind me that love me, that support me, that see things in me that I don't see in myself. It's like you have to give everybody their flowers in helping you become the creative that you are, because you really
Amen.
can't do it without anybody else, you know?
Oh, I feel that.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's my take. I could be wrong, just in case I offend anybody. I could be wrong.
So, real quick, let's tap into something else real quick, all right? So you're a writer for Fansided, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you been writing for them, and what opportunities have opened up for you since you started writing for them?
I think I've been writing for them for just a couple months. It hasn't even been that long. Yeah, so it's crazy because I decided within the last year, probably 8 months, closer to 8 months, that I was going to go over into sports entertainment, specifically combat, because I have a background training MMA, which a lot of people didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
And yeah, so that's the whole reason that I said, okay, I'm gonna put all this together. Fashion, I'm used to being behind the camera. I'm used to fast-paced industries. Entertainment world, I'm used to male-dominated industries. I'm used to fast-paced industries. I'm used to bullshit. So I was like, okay, I can do this. I've seen stuff on the media side, and then I also trained for 9 years in MMA. Now, I didn't tell people that when I was modeling because I did not want to be a liability. I didn't want people to not hire me because they were like, oh, okay, she's probably going to, like, if she's training, she might get hit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mess up the asset.
Yeah.
Money
I might
maker.
make up the moneymaker. Mess
Yeah.
up the moneymaker. Exactly. So I wouldn't tell people because I didn't want, it's weird the way directors think, or, you know, they're just like, oh, no, we can't have that. So there was a lot about my life that I hid. But I became a fan of the sport, and then I was good at the sport myself, and I ended up training with, which I didn't know this about Texas either until I started training. There's a shit ton of professional athletes down here that train as fighters. I didn't know that. I just thought it was like NFL, you know, like a football. Because, I mean, a lot of people know the South to be like a football crazy, right? I thought it was mainly football. And I went into a gym. The first gym I ever trained in, the coach was doing classes with Boss Rutan. And I was like, what? This is crazy. I've seen him on TV.
El Guapo.
Yeah. And so after that, it was like I kept training. And I started off training because I had a baby. I just wanted to lose some baby weight, right? And then my brother knew the one of the kids that went there, so I went to the gym with him, and he's like, "Hey, do the wrestling class, do the jiu-jitsu class with me." I was like, "Hell no, I'm about to get on the ground with a bunch of guys. I don't want to do that." So I tried it. I was good at it, and then I started training at like high intensity levels. So just being around professional athletes, I was already like, I didn't realize it though. I wasn't just doing self-defense. I was literally training like I was going to become a fighter. So I was learning things on a professional level. And that's what helped me when I said, okay, I'm taking all of this that I know, including my brain behavioral, background, and I'm going to go into this sport and I'm going to start being on the analyst side. I don't want to just be the girl doing interviews. I want to be on the microphone. I want to commentate, which I've been able to do already. So one of the production companies I work for is owned by Steven Ocho Peterson. He's a UFC fighter that lives out here in Dallas. And I told him kind of what my goals were, and he's like, okay, cool, I want you to be part of the team. So I started doing interviews for him, and he was the one that sent me the link that the lady that does the combat writing or the MMA writing for Fansided that she was looking for writers. And I was like, oh shit. So I just clicked on it. I've never written an article in my life. And I said, I'm going to do this. And so I just started. I've always been a good writer, though. I just never did it, formally. I just never did it. So I bullshitted a couple articles. They actually looked good. I sent them in. I sent in my background, told her my story, reached out to her on Instagram, said, hey, this person sent me to you. I really want to do this. And she accepted me, and I was not expecting that. But she gave me a chance, and I've been writing for a couple months, and it looks great because I'm not just writing for Fansided. I was hired to cover Dana White Contender Series and to cover, UFC fighters. So I jumped from, nothing to like a huge organization. I'm not working for the UFC, but I'm covering, UFC or PFL, Bellator, whatever they have, some of the other organizations. But so far, first one was Dana White Contender Series, and then I've done a couple articles about UFC fighters. So it's just been awesome to just be able to put it on my resume, to say that I've done that. Do I want to write for a long time? I don't know. It depends, because journalists don't have the best reputation. a lot of athletes don't really like them because they can sway people's perception and make athletes look bad or, highlight things. And one thing I notice is there's a lot of journalists that, they're not in the sport themselves. So they ask stupid questions and they say stupid stuff sometimes. And I try to make sure I don't do that. I hope that answered your question. I totally went back to give you the whole backstory because it led up to that. So yeah, that's how I got to Fansided.
I mean, it goes to show you and tell you you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So,
right.
I mean, you shot your shot, shoot, and you scored. So
I got the takedown.
You got the takedown there. So speaking on something, we want to touch on something you spoke about. All right. So you covered the stuff with the UFC. So you're the first African American woman to do commentary for the UFC, correct?
For not the UFC, for mixed martial arts.
For mixed martial arts,
yeah.
Okay. Correction, I apologize about that.
But will be.
Hey,
we'll speak
we'll
that
manifest that right there.
Yeah, we'll do that right now. Run it back when you guys see me on ESPN.
So, what does that accomplishment? What does that accomplishment feel to you, knowing you're the first African American woman to do that in that sport?
I at first when I was thinking about going this route, it didn't really hit me that there weren't a lot of, there's not a lot of women that commentate in combat sports. There are more in boxing, but not in MMA. You don't see that a lot. And just last year, was it last year, 2020? I think it was 2020. Laura Sanko was the first female commentator for UFC. That was just a couple years ago, right? So I'm like, wow, I want to go down this route, and I'm a woman of color, and there aren't a lot of women of color in MMA, which I don't know why, because I feel like women of color are more aggressive than like most people are. So I'm like, why are they not interested in this? This is like, it's right up our alley. But what was really cool to me is when I started doing interviews and I was going places, like just recently, I went to a karate tournament that was put on by Bill Wallace, or helped by Bill Wallace. Bill Wallace is a legend. If you guys don't know who he is, you need to Google him. He is old school badass, like literally back in the day, all those badass movies with Chuck Norris, and like he's one of the guys that was like hand in hand, breaking records, undefeated champion of the world till this day. And he was actually one of the first commentators for UFC when it came out in the 90s. So I met him and talked to him. He gave me really good advice. He's awesome. And he probably is the most energetic old man you will ever meet in your life. He has so much energy. But at the event, there were these little black girls there with their cute, hair and their little karate outfits on, and they just kept stopping and looking at me. And I heard a couple of them say, like, "Mommy, she looks like me," And I was like, man, this is cool. Like, it's cool for little girls to see that, because I know a lot of people don't understand this, but Black people have been painted in such a negative light for so long. And when we see ourselves somewhere on the other side of something we never thought was possible, we're just like, wow, we can actually do that. It's like, yes, we can do that. A prime example was when Obama became president, and so many people were crying, like just because we never thought there would be a day when a Black person was our president. And it literally opened the minds of so many other African American people, and they're like, wow, I can do this. This is actually a reality. So I don't know, when you break those barriers, you're not just making history, you're unleashing a lot of suppression, right? You're freeing people when you go beyond what people thought was possible. So, and plus, I'm just a person. I just like to try things that seem impossible. I'm just one of those people. So I don't know. I guess I'm not doing it for vain reasons. I really like giving people a platform to be heard and seen. I like to share knowledge. I like to teach. So even when I'm commentating, I like to give people, I like to educate. I'm not just saying, oh, wow, that was a good kick. I don't like to do that. I like to be very analytical, and I hope that somebody takes away something from when they listen to me, because a lot of people don't even know what they're looking at when they're watching fights unless they've done it for forever.
So you give like a psychological breakdown basically on it, like, oh, the reason why he kicked him this way is to prevent such and such from happening. And it's a kind of
yeah. I'll talk about the nonverbal communication, the body language, these positions, what you'll do to avoid these things, just small things that a lot of people don't think about, and I've even commentated beside professional athletes. I'm not going to name anybody, but I have commentated beside professional athletes that have, reacted to something that didn't happen in the cage. And I'm like, don't do that. Like, that's not accurate, right? It looks like they got punched, but they didn't. They just they moved their head the same way the punch was going to not absorb the hit. So don't say, oh, big punches landed. That's not what happened. So I try not to be reactionary when I'm watching, and I try to give an analytical breakdown of what might be going on.
Not a shock type commentary. Right?
Which is hard for me. Yeah. I'm learning to lie, but not lie. Like, I got to make it sound exciting, but I can't break people down either. Like, in a negative way, I can't say, well, why are they doing this? This sucks. You can't talk like that. If, you can't do that. You can't say that. And then you also can't hype people up. I've seen that too, where people are like, oh, this person's amazing. And I'm like, no, they're really not. They're not doing anything. They're actually they're just laying on top of each other. And a lot of people don't like seeing that.
Facts. So let's touch on something. You said when you first went and started training, your brother mentioned you to start wrestling and doing jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. What style of fighting do you like most?
Ooh, for myself? No. Okay, I can't even say that. I like wrestling. I think wrestling is a great base. I think people who are wrestlers that have wrestling background and go into MMA are very dangerous. I also like boxing. Boxing is so sharp and crisp and powerful. And a lot of boxers will tell you that people in mixed martial arts don't know how to punch correctly. Like they'll say, like, oh, people in UFC don't know how to punch, right? And they're right. A lot of them don't. A lot of them don't have that really sharp, crisp. If you ever watch a fight with a fighter that has a boxing background, those punches are going to land so nice and clean. That's when you get those really good knockouts. And then the wrestlers are just brutal. I don't know why I like doing it because it doesn't even feel good, but it makes you think so fast and you have to be so strong and quick, and I love wrestling. That's my favorite. Now the exciting ones are probably like judo. Judo's cool because they're like, oh shit, they just kicked. And then karate, they do those, crazy spinning kicks and stuff. I mean, all that stuff works. Trust me, all those fighting styles work, but just my favorite, it would be wrestling and boxing.
Okay. So at UFC 279, I heard there was an altercation before a press conference that caused a fight to get canceled. Correct?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to talk about that, or what's up?
Oh yeah. I mean, I wasn't there when it happened, but I know a couple people who were.
So what? Spill the tea. What's the tea? What happened? What was popping?
There was just. I mean, there's already articles out about it, so it's not like anybody can't find out. But there was a lot of talk going on with Kamzat's team, talk going on with Kevin Holland's team, and they're just neither one of those guys are, And then on top of that, you got Nate Diaz back there, and he's a gangster. He's not somebody that you know what I'm saying. Like seriously, people are like they're. I don't want to say people fear him because I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth. But I'll just say people know what time it is when Nate and his brother walk in the room. You know what I'm saying? So it was like potential like brawl backstage with a lot of people, which I'm really surprised has not happened before, with fighters. I really am surprised. But yeah, with those three people and they're all like inability to just walk away and they're just not those type of guys. And the people around them aren't those type of guys. So it was a potential dangerous situation. And Dana White was like, all right, we're gonna shut this shit down.
Real quick, with the quick ones. So you just mentioned Nate Diaz. Okay, so also on 279, we saw the whole changing of the fight card because I can't remember his name. I don't even pronounce his name. I know he missed his weight.
Kamzat, yeah.
Yeah, he missed his weight by 7.5 pounds, which I feel like that's a lot of weight.
It is a lot. To
be missing your weight. You know what you got to be down a weight by what time and what day. I don't understand how you not know you're overweight. That's another story. So what are your thoughts on that far as, one, what should be the severity of the punishment if someone comes in that much overweight, and the challenges that bring for when someone comes in overweight?
Yeah. So there was a lot of talks about this too from other pro fighters and former UFC fighters. He missed weight, and there were talks saying, oh, they knew that he was going to miss weight. They did not know. Dana White did not know he was going to miss weight. He was told to stop cutting weight because his body shut down. And it's normal. Now, I will tell you, it's normal for fighters to come in and be 10 pounds heavier before they weigh in, like the day before they weigh in. And they just decide, which is very dangerous to do. It's bad for your body. It's good to just be professional, do, strength and conditioning, eat good, take care of yourself, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do all these things that are going to make it hard for your body to cut weight, because your body can shut down. You can pass out, you can go to the hospital. A lot of bad things can happen to you, and it's bad for your brain too. So his body stopped responding, which is normal. Sometimes it happens. And but what a lot of people were upset about is that he still got to fight. And or that, maybe there wasn't a punishment for it. A lot of people were like, they should have pulled him from the card. He shouldn't have been able to still have a highlight like that after missing so much weight. It is considered like that across the board in that world. Missing weight is such a big deal. It is a huge deal. It's like not taking off your shoes when you walk in grandma's house. Like everybody knows the rules, and you just did the one thing that everybody knows not to do. So it's a very big deal on a reflection of professionalism. I think, I'm not the owner though, so I can't say, but I think he should have got the same punishment that most people got, where either, he got a big chunk taken from his purse, or, they didn't let him fight. One of those two. That's what I think. And that's what a lot of other people thought too.
So he had no purse taken away from him.
I don't know if he did. I never read about it afterwards. I just know him and Holland got paid a lot for that fight.
Wow. Well, so
Yeah.
there's it. Okay. So we're going to switch gears here a little bit, all right? So we have this segment. It's called
Slow down. I just wanna get to know you.
Slow Down. We just want to get to know you. This is where we kind of ask you a little bit of personal questions. People can feel you out a little bit, get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
Just got to make it known that, this segment of Slow Down is brought to you by Lyrically Correct. If you feel like you're lyrically correct and you can answer music trivia games, go to lyricallycorrect.com, put in promo code RayRay, and get 20% off. All right? You ready?
I am.
All right. Let's do this. So, who is someone that inspires you?
Serena Williams. That's a good answer, right?
That's a good answer.
Yeah, I was going to say, elaborate for us. What about her inspires you?
Oh, I thought you were just like rapid fire questions. I think just her whole story. Everything that she's done and been through, and all the criticism that she's had to receive, and again, breaking barriers as an African American woman and white dominated sport. I just adore her. I've heard a lot of good things about her. So just from people that I know that have worked with her, and I like her ability to just steadfast, stand strong, and inspire all these women.
Did you ever see the video of Jamie Foxx singing to her?
I did.
I thought that was like
That he wanted to be her tennis
ball,
ball
yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
I love hearing that. And I also love something about you is you're a big bookworm, just like me.
Oh,
You
yeah.
love
I like reading.
If you had to pick a book that everyone had to read, what would you choose?
Oh, my God. That's such a hard answer.
Or like a couple of books that come to mind that you feel like every person
I can
should
tell
read.
you a couple for sure. The first one is The Powers of Evil by Richard Cavendish. I don't know if you guys know about that book, but that's a very deep educational book like that. And it's about the background of why we associate so many evil and bad things with certain belief systems. It's amazing, and it goes all the way back to like as far as history can go, about why we associate dark colors with evil. Like it goes very, very deep, and why certain like mental health or certain things are looked at as satanic or demonic or whatever, depending on what religion you are. So it's interesting, even to the point of where racism comes in, right, with the depiction of Jesus and the bright skin and the depiction of Satan, who's very black and dark, his dark skin, things like that. That book will make you question what you believe, not in terms of spirituality, but just what you associate with what's good and what's bad. So I think that's a phenomenal book. Another one is The Body Keeps a Score. I just went blank on, I think it is, I don't want to mispronounce his name. It's a popular book. And that book talks about how our bodies store trauma in all areas, not just like in our mind. It's very powerful, and he talks about all these different studies or case studies that he shared and went through with various forms and how it affects your daily life and how deep trauma really is. That's another book that I would get, because I like to wake people up. I'm that person. I like to give people self-awareness and the ability to self-heal. That's probably the other book, I would say. Those are probably the only two I can think of off top.
Well, I'm excited to check those out because I like reading self-development books, and I haven't had a chance to read either one of those. So I'll add that to my library.
They're good.
Next question we have for you is, when have you felt the most challenged?
Every damn day. No, I'm just kidding. I don't, you know what? I honestly don't know. I think, oh God. I don't know, because the reason why that's a hard question for me to answer is because whenever I do go through challenges, I've been through a lot of different things in my life that a lot of people would be like, what the hell? You don't even look like somebody who would go through that. I just choose not to accept a lot of things that happen to me as a challenge. You know, I'm always, like, when bad things happen to me, I go through it. I definitely respond to it. I feel it. I might get depressed. I might get sad. I might get angry. To be honest, I probably get angry more than anything if I'm going through something. But I always tell myself, this isn't my life. This is not my life. This is not going to be my story. I'm not going to sit here and involve it in my story and then go on and say, okay, this is who I was. Like, I don't think the things that happen to you shape you, but it's not who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The things that happen to you is not who you are. So, I don't know. I've been through a lot of things. I've literally had near-death experiences, and I don't know. I just tell myself it's not my reality, and I just choose a different path. So that's a hard answer or question for me to answer. Sorry.
No, I mean, that's a great answer because, you know, you go through things that form you into the person you are now.
Mm-hmm.
So without pressure doesn't come diamonds. Mm-hmm. So let your challenges be a testament to who you're becoming, you know? So
Yeah.
that's still a great
They
answer.
definitely molded me.
Yeah, definitely. So next question we have for you is, we like to ask people this. What's your love language?
Oh, you know what? I actually just took the love languages test recently. I'm trying to remember what my first one was. I believe it was acts of service. I think that was my first one. It was acts of service. So if anybody could do something for me to make my life easier, anything, it means so much to me, because that's what I do for everybody. So I love doing that for people. And it's simple shit. Like, even if you're right-handed and the pen is over here, I will put the pen over here next to your right hand, just to make it easier for you. Like, just little things to help make people's lives easier, or make their day better, or to tell them, hey, I'm thinking about you, so I wanted to do your laundry for you, or I wanted to get your car washed for you, or I read this article and I'm thinking about you, and I think, you know, we were just talking about this, and this answers what you were saying, so I want to give you this. Like, I'm one of those people.
That's how you receive love, or how you like to give
Both.
love? Both? Okay.
Yeah, both.
And that's just the only one, you think?
That's my major one. Like, literally, the last one is, like, physical touch. You do not have to touch me at all. At all. I don't need a hug. I don't need a kiss. I don't need any of that shit. I like quality time, too. I love talking with people and spending time with people. That's probably my next one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, on the subject of spending time with people, what do you consider a perfect date?
Oh, man. That's funny, because I don't like dates. Not like that. Not like the stereotypical dates. I think, honestly, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'll just be myself and answer this, because
Girl, there's
I'm
no
like,
wrong answer.
I'm like, what if somebody looks at me and be like, I didn't know you were like this. I like just chilling, like just sitting on the couch with somebody, and I'm dead serious, like sitting on the couch. Maybe we have like a cup or a glass. It could be a plastic cup. I'm cool with those. I still drink out of those because I'm kind of ghetto like that. But yeah, we pour our drink or we light it up and we just talk. We just talk. And that just spending one-on-one time where people, it's not about like interviewing, right? That's why I don't really like dates, because sometimes you're either interviewing somebody and checking off these freaking mental boxes in your head or this checklist of what you want in your mind, or you're expecting this experience, right? And you're not just present. There's nothing wrong with planning things. There's nothing wrong with doing sweet stuff. But sometimes I just think you don't need all that to have a very, very bonding experience. I think just sitting and talking is like the best thing ever.
Okay. So, we kind of live in a social media world now. Everything is kind of like instant gratification. Everything's done on social media. Mm-hmm. And now, you got people that like to slide in the DMs. It goes down the DM. So, when guys send you a DM, what actually gets your attention from someone that sends you a DM?
When they read something I've written, or they've listened to something that I've done a lot of work or studying on. It's usually those people. Like being told that I'm pretty, or damn, you're fine, or whatever. Or hey, the fucking single, hey, hi. I'm
That's
probably
the
not,
absolute worst.
I'm probably not going to respond to you. Like, I don't even know you like that. I like it when people introduce themselves. So, and this is a guy or a woman, and this is not just like on a romantic. This is just me.
In general, yeah.
What is it about somebody that makes me want to engage in conversation with them? It's if someone tells me their name. They say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I just listened to what you said, and it touched my soul, or, something. It doesn't have to be corny or anything, but I just like shit that matters. I'm not a material girl. I'm not, even though I was in an industry for fucking ever that was all about appearance. I don't care about any of that stuff. So I don't want to talk about that. I like talking about shit that matters.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Shout out to all the ladies like that, man. What's the hardest lesson you've ever had to learn?
Ooh, that even if my intention wasn't bad, I could still be a negative effect on someone else. That's the hardest. And the reason why, and actually that's hard for a lot of people I've seen, because like when you have a disagreement, people are like, well, that's not what happened, that's not what I did, that's not what I meant to do, but it doesn't matter. Your intention doesn't matter. It's the outcome that matters. So no matter what I'm feeling, how justified I am, how right I am, and how someone else may say, girl, no, you should have done that. You're right for that. If I hurt another person, even if they hurt me, if I did something to another person and I left a negative impact on their life, or I made their day worse, or made them feel worse about themselves, I'm still wrong. Yeah. That's a hard thing to accept, even when someone else has done you wrong.
Yeah, I just recently went through something with a coworker where she was, she said her intentions were good and she didn't mean any harm by it because it was quote unquote the truth to her, but it did hurt my feelings, and I just let her know, like, look, my truth is different than yours. And it hurt my feelings. And she was like, but it was the truth. So I feel like a lot of people, as you said, just aren't thinking before they're speaking to others or projecting their stuff out on other people.
Yeah. They justify that shit. And it's like, it pisses me off because I'm like, just listen. Like, if you just stop worrying about being right for a second, right? I have to do this all the time. I'm not being hypocritical here when I say this. I have to do this all the time because I'm an alpha female, and I'm around a lot of men, and I'm having to always, I won't say overcompensate, but I do hold my space well. But I still have to listen to people. I still got to do it. Like, it doesn't matter how much of a boss bitch you are. You have to listen to people. So when just don't stop talking. Just be quiet. Sometimes you will be amazed at how much you learn when you just stop speaking and hear somebody. Sometimes people just want to be heard. They don't really want a solution. They just want to hear you. So the right thing for her to say was, I'm sorry, I hear you. Or, man, that's crazy, because one time, and then she tells a story about what happened to her. I won't do it again. And it's that simple. There's no, I didn't mean that. Well, that's not what that, shut up. I don't care what you meant. This is what happened, right? This is what happened. So the problem with people doing things in this communication and why we end up butting heads is because people are so justified from their belief systems. Like, it's crazy. And they think that truth, whatever the fuck that means, because that's subjective, like, that's enough. That's enough to stand on. And facts are one thing, right? So your facts are one thing, but you can have facts that oppose each other too in the same damn situation. So I don't like talking about facts and shit like that. Even I'm a very analytical person, so I'm big on what actually happened, what didn't happen, but just stop talking and just listen to people. And then you'll get past that feeling, because you'll feel it. You'll feel that, like, anger, or that, like, you'll feel something come up, and just, if you just don't speak and breathe through it, you'll be amazed at how much you can accept. And then you realize whatever the fuck you were feeling was just a moment, right? Because your emotions, I tell people this all the time, your emotions are signals. They're not directions, okay?
Amen.
You don't have to react. You just let them twinkle in your head, let them feel it in your body, and just let it go. And it'll move. It'll move. It's energy, so it's going to move. It's simple to me.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So, one of the questions I always like to ask to wrap up, and I ask people this every episode, what do you want people to take away from this interview?
That I'm awesome. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. That's a good, damn it. I hate it when I get asked good questions. I do this to people all the time too, so it's funny. I ask them great questions. They're like, damn, that's a good question. And I'm like, yes. I don't know, probably that you can do whatever you want to do. Like, whatever you, like, and I know that sounds so damn cliche, but if you take the proper time and surround yourself with the proper people, you can do whatever you want to do. There's no, our life is a direct representation of what we believe. So just know that at any moment, if you want to change your mind, you will change your life. It's that simple. So that's a good takeaway, that if you change your mind, you can change your life.
It's a quote right there.
Hey.
Hey, you can write that down.
I'm sure it is a quote somewhere.
So, real quick, before we dip out of here, tell the people where you want them to find you on social media, if they're looking to find out more about you, and maybe they want to check you, commentating, or check out that next article you're going to write. Where can they find you, all that stuff?
I would say to just, on any platform, just type in my first and last name and I'll come up, because I have like different names on different platforms. But it's all under Adaire Byerly. So Adaire, last name Byerly. And I should pop up. And I usually, update. I'm trying to get better at this. Update people, on what I have going on. And I have, my link tree, so you can go here and there and see what I'm posting and see what I'm doing. If I post a fight that I'll be at, you do have to tune into it, because it's live, it's pay-per-view. So if you want to hear me commentate, just make sure you pay to watch the fight.
Make sure your money's the financials.
Save your money to
chickens.
hear me.
All right. So real quick again, we gotta thank Extreme Travel for one of our sponsors. If you're looking for the next vacation, or you're interested in becoming a travel agent, go to extremetravel.com and they'll get you set up with that. Tell them Ray Podcast sent you, and they'll give you $200 off of that, okay? Allison, anything for you?
Yeah, actually, I want to touch on something that I brought up in an episode a few weeks ago, just for everyone to have for their tidbit of the day. Really think before you speak. And I have an acronym for THINK. Is it true? Is it honest? Is it going to inspire? Is it necessary? And is it kind? If it's none of those things, you can probably just keep it to yourself. But we could all use a little more thinking before we speak.
Facts. So, we end the show every day. Not every day, I'm sorry, every week. Remember to say these words to yourself. Tell yourself, I will boss up physically. I will boss up mentally. I will boss up spiritually. And I will boss up financially. Invest in yourself. This is your boy, Ray.
And Allison.
This is Ray Ray's podcast. We're out.